the Los Angeles Rams just executed a defensive gamble that has internal scouts holding their breath as we approach the season. While the front office took victory laps for their early offseason additions, a series of calculated risks regarding proven ball hawks, and the linebacker room is sending shockwaves through the building. We are talking about letting a homegrown talent walk for pennies while leaving a massive void in pass coverage that could haunt Sean McVay during the playoffs. Is this a masterclass in roster efficiency or a recipe for a defensive collapse that nobody saw coming until today? Kobe Durant is officially heading to the Dallas Cowboys, and the details behind this departure are far more complex than just a simple contract dispute. For just $5.5 million, the Rams allowed their most instinctive ball hawk to walk out the door, even though Durant himself had expressed a clear desire to return to the Horns. The decision to part ways is a massive bet on the current secondary depth, specifically Emmanuel Forbes and Trent McDuffie. Internally, the coaching staff loved how Durant's versatility allowed McDuffie to slide inside to the nickel spot during high-leverage situations, providing a chess match advantage that is now effectively gone. While the team feels confident in the starters, the concern in the building is the razor-thin margin for error. We saw this movie last year with Darius Williams, where a veteran expected to be a depth piece ended up playing starting snaps by week 2 due to the brutal nature of NFL injuries. By letting Durant go to a conference rival for such a modest price, the Rams are essentially saying they don't value that specific ball-tracking skill set at his price point, which is a dangerous game to play when you consider the passing attacks in the NFC West. The front office believes they have enough to win, but without a proven fourth cornerback who can play at a high level, one single injury to the top of the depth chart could expose the entire back end. But the secondary isn't the only place where the Rams decided to play with fire this offseason, as the second level of the defense is facing an even more questionable lack of reinforcement that has several analysts wondering if the middle of the field is now a massive target for opposing quarterbacks. If you think the cornerback situation is risky, wait until you hear the specific deficiency they ignored in the linebacker room that might be the biggest mistake of the entire spring. Do you think letting Kobe Durant walk for such a low price was a mistake for the Rams defense? I really want to hear your thoughts in the comments because this move is polarizing the building right now. If you want the deepest Rams insights you won't find anywhere else, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button to help us grow. Grant Stewart was the specific addition the Rams made to help mitigate some of these roster concerns, but his arrival brings a very specific set of pros and cons that the fan base needs to understand. While Stewart is a high-energy player and a premier special teams contributor, the critical factor is that the Rams still haven't addressed the glaring need for a true coverage linebacker. The current duo of Nate Landman and Omar Speights are absolute hammers in the run game. They are about their business and bring a physical edge that the team desperately needed. However, league sources are quick to point out that both players have significant deficiencies when it comes to dropping into space and defending the pass. In a league that is increasingly becoming about horizontal stretches and tight end mismatches, not having a specialist who can eliminate those lanes is a massive gamble. The internal plan seems to be a creative one, potentially increasing the usage of Josiah Stewart or Byron Young as off-ball linebackers in specific packages, or relying on dime backers like Tank McCollough to bridge the gap. But those are projections, not certainties. The Rams' special teams were historically bad in 2025, so bringing in a guy like Stewart makes sense from a field position standpoint, but he doesn't solve the core issue of covering elite receivers over the middle. Furthermore, the team moved on from Jake McQuaid to sign Joe Cardona at long snapper. While Cardona is a respected pro, McQuaid was the definition of consistency for this franchise. When you combine the loss of a special teams ace like Troy Reeder, who is still sitting in free agency, you start to see a total overhaul of the third phase of the game. The risk here is that in their quest to fix the special teams unit, they might have overlooked the fundamental necessity of having linebackers who can actually stay on the field during third and long. If the pass rush doesn't get home instantly, these linebackers are going to be under immense pressure to perform in roles they haven't mastered yet. This creates a ripple effect throughout the entire defensive scheme that could force the safeties to play closer to the line, leaving the deep third even more vulnerable than it was before. The real impact of these decisions points toward a specific philosophy being adopted by Les Snead and Sean McVay this year, which is a heavy reliance on specialized, cheap labor over versatile veterans. By letting Durant walk and focusing on special team specialists like Grant Stewart, The Rams are betting that their top-tier stars can carry the load while the supporting cast plays very narrow, specific roles. This is a departure from the mid-season adjustments we've seen in the past, where the Rams would covet veteran flexibility. The decision-makers in Woodland Hills are clearly prioritizing the physical identity of the defense, choosing the thumping power of Landman and Spates over the finesse of a coverage-first linebacker. This suggests that the Rams expect to be playing with leads, forcing opponents to become one-dimensional so the pass rush can tee off. But what happens if they aren't leading? If the Rams find themselves in shootouts, the lack of a coverage linebacker and the absence of a ball hawk like Durant becomes a glaring neon sign for opposing offensive coordinators. Looking ahead, the front office is likely keeping a very close eye on the waiver wire as final cuts approach across the league. They know they need a fourth cornerback, and they know the linebacker room is one injury away from a crisis. The future of this defensive unit depends entirely on whether the young players like Emmanuel Forbes can take a massive leap forward to justify letting a proven commodity like Durant leave for Dallas. We are looking at a high-risk, high-reward scenario where the Rams have optimized their salary cap by trimming the middle of the roster. But in doing so, they have removed the safety net that saved their season last year. If these gambles pay off, Les Snead will look like a genius for finding value in players like Stewart and Cardona while saving millions. But if the coverage units struggle and the special teams don't see a massive statistical jump, the pressure on the coaching staff to fix these holes mid-season will be immense. The margin for error has never been thinner in the McVay era, and the next few weeks of practice will reveal if these risky moves were calculated masterstrokes or desperate attempts to fill too many holes with too few resources. Ultimately, the story of the Rams' 2026 offseason won't be told by the stars they kept, but by the players they were willing to lose. Letting Kobe Durant join the Cowboys for such a low figure and failing to secure a coverage linebacker are the types of moves that either define a championship culture or lead to a frustrating season of what-ifs. For the fans, this is a moment of trust. You have to trust that the internal scouting report on the current roster is more accurate than the external concerns about depth. The meaning here is clear. The Rams are no longer interested in just having good players. They want specific players for specific roles, even if it means sacrificing overall talent at certain positions. It is a cold, clinical approach to roster building that mirrors the most successful franchises in sports history, but it leaves no room for the inevitable chaos that an NFL season brings. The loss of veteran leadership in the special teams room, specifically guys like Troy Reeder, could also create a vacuum that younger players aren't ready to fill. We are seeing a franchise that is evolving, trying to move away from the all-in reputation and toward a more sustainable, yet incredibly risky, depth model. As we look toward the season opener, every snap taken by the linebackers in coverage and every pass defended by the secondary will be compared to what Durant and a veteran linebacker could have provided. This is the price of doing business in the modern NFL, where the cap forces impossible choices every single day. The Rams have made their bed, and now they have to sleep in it, hoping that their internal development programs have prepared the next generation to step up. Do you think this revamped special teams and the younger defensive backfield can actually hold up against the elite offenses of the NFC? Or are we watching a slow-motion car crash? Let me know your honest predictions in the comments below, because I'm reading every single one of them. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like if you want to stay ahead of the curve on all things Rams. We are going to be tracking these developments all through training camp to see if the front office needs to make an emergency move. Until next time, keep your eyes on the roster and your heart with the horns. This is going to be a wild ride, and you won't want to miss a second of the coverage coming your way.